Hey viewers, the other day someone was asking how to take apart one of these vintage Suntour rear derailleurs. What they wanted to do was take the pulleys out and clean them and lube them and put them back in. And on most derailleurs, it's not that hard to do because usually there's a bolt here and a bolt over here. You pop those out, pop the pulleys out. On some of them, there might be a bolt going in this way to pop this one out. But on these vintage Suntour derailleurs, this is a Suntour Vx, but there's other models that are very similar in nature of how they are put together. The bolt is coming in through the spring mechanism here. So you pretty much have to take this whole thing apart in order to remove this guide pulley here. So anyway, I decided I'm gonna go ahead and make a video of how to take one of these apart and put it back together. Okay, I'm gonna start off by removing the tension pulley here. That's the easiest one to do. And that's a 9mm socket on here. Use my little nut driver here to remove this here. And I just remove this bolt, pull the little bolt out like that, and I can slide the pulley out there like that. Put that aside. Now the next thing I want to do is there's a little stop part here. This part here, there's like a little pin here. What that does is the cage here is spring-loaded. That little pin there goes up against this little outcropping here and stops it from going farther. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that. It's a Phillips screw on this one. And so I'm going to relieve a little, kind of turn the cage a little bit to kind of get this away from the little stopper there. And then use this little Phillips screwdriver here to remove this pin. And put that aside here. And then I'm going to let the cage unwind. And I kind of remember, I want to see how far it unwinds so that when I put it back together, I have it about the same. So it comes around here. And when it's loose here, this hole where the pin was about 180 degrees from this little stop part here. So I kind of want to remember that. Now the next part here, I want to remove this part here is, and that's a 6mm hex wrench here. So I'm going to loosen this. So unscrew this. And then that came out there like that. This little cap part here. So now at this point I should be able to slide this off, and there's a spring in here, and I kind of want to remember where this spring was. This spring here, because there's a bunch of little slots in this part here. The end of the spring here was in a slot nearly 180 degrees from this hole here. So as I pull this out here like that, and then there's that spring in there. So now I'm going to set this apart, set that aside there like that. Okay, now I need to remove this part here, and that goes down through the pulley down to here. And on this particular one, there's like a little metal part here that this is screwed into here, but it's also threaded up into there. And they're different threadings. So if you actually try to remove this here, you probably damage the threads down here. So you need to remove this part first. Other ones, they're just threaded right into the cage there. But so on this kind, if it's got this little metal part here, you want to try to remove that there. So I'm going to use like a little flat tip screwdriver here and carefully just push this around to unscrew it. If it's really tight, you might need to get a hammer and kind of tap it. But I'm just going to slowly work this around to get it loosened and unscrewed there. And try not to like just let it slip and scratch or stab myself here. Okay, so I got that little part off right there, and I put that aside. And so now I need to unscrew this part here. You could possibly use like a big flat tip screwdriver here to unscrew this here, but I'd be worried about damaging those there. So what I'm going to use is some vice grips here. I'm going to clamp right onto this part here because nothing's really contacted here, so it's not like a surface that like bearings go against or anything like that. So if it gets a little scratched up, I'm not that concerned. So I'm just going to clamp these onto here and unscrew this like that. Once I get it broken loose, it'll probably come relatively easy here. And there's that. So you can see like threading here and threading there. And so at this point, I can go ahead and pull the pulley out there, like that. And then there's also like a separate little cap on here too, and this comes off as well. Okay, here's all the parts. I got them all nice and cleaned. I used a nice degreaser, cleaned them all up, and so now I'm ready to start putting this thing back together. I'm going to reassemble the pulleys to begin with. I'm going to be using some Finish Line wet lubricants, nice synthetic oil, and so it won't damage the plastic here. And so I'll just take these little bushings. Both the pulleys are identical as far as I can tell. So just put a little bit of oil in there, a little bit of oil around here, a little bit of oil around in there. Put one of these little caps on here, put one of these little caps on here, like that. And there was another cap that came on here. The hole in here is bigger than these little caps that went onto the pulleys. So again, just put a little bit of oil in there, put the bushing inside there, a little bit of oil on this side, a little bit of oil on this side, put a cap on there, and so turn a little bit, then you can feel it start to turn nice and smoothly like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and set those aside for right now. Okay, now I'm going to reinstall this spring here. I pulled the spring out of this little hole here, and it's double-ended, and so there's a little pin here that goes straight across, and there's another pin here that goes straight down. This little pin that goes straight down is going to go down in this little hole here, and there's like a little slot down here. I don't know if you can see it, this little slot that goes down there, and then there's a hole at the bottom here that comes out through the bottom. And that's where this little pin here is going to go. But before I reinstall the spring, I'm going to put some marine grease onto this spring because I want it to be nice and smooth moving inside there. So I'm just going to put a coating on there like that. And then drop this down in there. And I'm going to use like little pliers here. I can kind of move this around here to where I can get that to fall down into that hole there. There. Because it'll fall down into place when you finally get it in there. So that's set. Okay, now I want to go ahead and reinstall the guide pulley here. And so I'm going to install it on this side here with this larger loop here. And there was the little opening here where this part went like in there, but I'm not going to put that in there yet. So I'm going to take one of the pulleys, just slide it into place here like this, get the holes all lined up there, and then I take this part here, and then there was this little cap part here that went on there like this, so that just kind of goes on there like that. And I'm going to thread this through like this. And I'm not going to tighten it down all the way yet, but I'm going to take this little part here, this little steel part here with the threaded, and I'm going to slide this in the hole here at this point and start threading this in. I'm going to hold it here so that, try to get this threaded onto there to begin with. Get started on there. And try to thread this on there a little bit. That. And now I'm going to use the vice grip to grab onto this and tighten this into place. And it was pretty tight to begin with, so I want to get there pretty tight on there now. Like that. And then I'll use this little screwdriver here, and I'm going to tighten this in here to kind of turn this around and try to get this all tightened onto the end of the little part there. Just tighten it on there until you can't tighten it anymore. Like that. And so we got that all set now. So now I'm going to install this part here, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like a little bit more grease just on here, around here, just so that it moves nice and smoothly. And I'm going to slide this in here, and then this little notch here, it went into one of the slots here about 180 degrees from that hole there. So I'm going to slide this in, fit that down, and get that spring into the notch there like that. And then I'm just going to squeeze just a little more grease down around here. What the heck. And then I've got this little cap part here. And I'm going to put this down on here like that. Just screw that in. And then this was a 6mm hex wrench. So tighten this in. Like that. And then see that kind of nice movement there, nice tension there. And again, so now just sitting loosely there, this hole down here where the stop pin was is about 180 degrees from this little stop part over there. So I'm going to move this around here like this, get that so that hole's accessible. And I've got the little stop pin here. And so I'm going to use just some little needle nose here to help get that in place here, so that reach down there. Just kind of set that into place there. And then use my Phillips screwdriver here to just kind of screw that in. Like that. So now I got that nice like that. And I have one more pulley, the tension pulley here. I'm going to slide that into place here like this. Get those little parts lined up. I got the bolt here. Slide this down in here. Get that all lined up. Start that in by hand. Then grab my wrench here. That was 9. Tighten this in. That turns nice and smoothly. Both the pulleys turn nice and smoothly. And got the derailleur all back together. Anyway, I hope you found this useful or interesting. If you did, please click like on my video. I always appreciate getting likes on my videos. It helps me out. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click the big subscribe button and you'll see new videos as they come out. And I'm always coming out with new videos. And I'm also over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Go over there, like my page, and I post a lot of stuff over there as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.